All right, welcome in. I am so incredibly excited to guide you through today's explainer, where we're going to tackle what feels like a massive, universal mountain: learning English. If you've ever sat down to study and just felt completely overwhelmed by endless vocabulary lists, confusing grammar rules, or really just the sheer effort it takes to communicate, well, you are in the exact right place. Today, we're going to break down exactly why it feels so hard, and more importantly, how you can actually push through it.
So be honest with me for a second. Have you ever genuinely wanted to just close the book and walk away? There's this quiet, almost hidden pain that practically every language learner experiences at some point. You know the feeling. You open your notebook, you stare at the words, and suddenly, boom, this massive wave of exhaustion just hits you. You might feel small, you might feel incredibly slow, and honestly, you might just want to sit down and cry. I want to tell you right off the bat, actually, scratch that. I need you to know right now, that is completely 100% normal.
In the source material we're looking at today, one of the speakers, Jake, shares this incredibly raw and honest moment. He says, "My brand said, 'Jake, this is too hard.'" He was literally just sitting there reading one single sentence over and over again, and his brain simply hit a wall. It's such a powerful reminder that everyone feels this way. Even when you're deeply committed to the process, there are days when your brain just wants to completely shut down and say no more. And that mental shutdown, it leads directly to those silent, hidden doubts we whisper to ourselves. You know the thought, why am I still the same? You watch the lessons, you diligently listen to the audio, but deep inside, you feel like you haven't moved a single inch. It is that awful, deeply frustrating feeling of putting in all this heavy effort, but feeling entirely disconnected from the progress you so desperately want to see. Okay, let's dive into this because the source offers a beautiful, highly visual way to completely reframe that exact feeling. Emma describes the process of learning English like walking in the fog. Think about that for a second. When you're in the fog, you can really only see a few steps ahead of you, right? You definitely can't see the top of the mountain, and you absolutely cannot see the finish line. But here's the secret. Even if you only see 3 feet in front of you, you're still moving forward. Those small, tiny steps absolutely matter, even when the destination is completely obscured. Let's think about physical exercise for a second. If you're always lifting light weights, meaning your English practice feels easy all the time, well, your muscles simply aren't going to change. You aren't growing. But when you switch to lifting heavy weights and the practice feels incredibly hard, that's the magic spot. That is when your brain is actively growing. So when you listen to a fast conversation and you don't understand everything, that isn't a failure. That is high-level, heavyweight training for your brain. Now, what about those unbelievably frustrating days when you study for an hour and literally the very next day, you forget all the words and the grammar? You start thinking, man, what is wrong with me? Well, the source material introduces this fantastic concept called sleeping English. I absolutely love this. The English you learned is actually still inside your head. It isn't gone forever, it's just sleeping. Every single time you sit down to practice, you're just waking it up a little bit more. I really want you to take this next idea straight to heart. Your English does not need permission. So many language learners tend to hide. They stay quiet because they're waiting for this magical, imaginary day when they finally feel good enough or fluent enough to speak out loud. But listen, English is not a locked door that someone else opens for you. You open it yourself. You open it with your mistakes, you open it with a shaking voice, and you open it with simple everyday words. And this brilliantly illustrates one of the biggest, most painful traps beginners fall into: comparing themselves to native speakers. Trying to sound perfectly native is an unfair, exhausting comparison that causes so much unnecessary pain. Native speakers didn't learn it the way you are, they grew up with it. Instead, let's shift your focus. Your goal should be clear and honest international English.
It doesn't ever need to be perfect. It just needs to be clear enough to genuinely connect with another human being.
Now, to achieve that honest clarity, you have to be totally willing to make mistakes. In our source, Jake actually recounts a time he wanted to tell someone, "I am bored," but he accidentally said, "I am very boring today." Yeah, highly embarrassing. But guess what? He never, ever forgot that lesson. Mistakes are quite literally our greatest teachers. They stick in our memory so much longer than perfect sentences ever do. Which brings us to a very comfortable but very dangerous place called the easy zone. It's a perfectly safe place where you never make mistakes because, well, you never take any risks. But the catch, you never grow there. Many learners let fear keep them trapped in this easy zone. Fear of messing up grammar, fear of people laughing at them. But you know what? If you're afraid, it actually proves that you deeply care. If English didn't matter to you, you wouldn't be scared in the first place. Fear is just a sign that you are standing right on the edge of growth.
But what about the days when it isn't just fear holding you back, but pure, heavy exhaustion? What are you supposed to do on the truly tired days? When you've worked all day, you've got family duties, your brain is totally fried, and the very thought of studying feels like a massive enemy staring you down. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it completely changes our perspective on taking a break. Way too many learners think that if they don't study aggressively for a full hour, they're somehow failing. They confuse resting with quitting. But a tired brain simply cannot learn well. Resting is not laziness, guys. It is essential maintenance. It is exactly, and I mean exactly, like plugging in your depleted phone to charge the battery.
So, the crucial point is, to survive those low battery days, you need an actionable strategy. Enter the 5-minute rule. Don't look at the whole giant mountain of fluency. Just look at one tiny, highly achievable step. Number 1, listen to a little bit of easy English. Number 2, repeat just one single sentence out loud. Or number 3, simply sit and think in English for 1 minute. 5 minutes is always, always better than 0. Consistency is so much more important than intensity.
The source offers a perfect visual for navigating these exhausted moments. It's like walking in the rain. It's slow, it is highly uncomfortable, but you know what? You are still moving. On the really hard days, the best advice is wonderfully simple. Don't run. Just don't stop. Keep your feet moving.
And part of not stopping requires you to fundamentally change your relationship with time. Too often, learners treat time as the enemy, thinking, I've been learning for so long, I should be way better by now. But we have to flip that mindset entirely. Time is actually your partner. Learning is not a straight upward line. There are days that go up, days that go down, and days that just feel completely flat. But during those flat days, quiet, hidden learning is happening deep inside your brain. You just can't feel it quite yet.
And sometimes that hidden learning feels incredibly heavy. I want to slow down for a second and really think about this profound realization. Tears are effort leaving the body. If you have ever sat at your desk and cried over learning English, please know it is not a sign of weakness. It means this journey touches your confidence, your identity, and your biggest dreams. That emotional weight, it just shows how much beautiful, raw effort you are pouring into this. Speaking of identity, we absolutely have to talk about accents. So many learners hate their accent and feel ashamed to speak up. But an accent is a symbol of immense power. I mean, look at this. It means you speak more than one language. It shows incredible courage. It shows undeniable effort. Your accent is your personal story, and it is never, ever something you should try to hide. Let's move to and see how this builds, because we really have to pivot here and ask the absolute hardest question of all. What actually happens if you quit? What is the real, hidden cost of just closing the notebook forever and walking away?
According to the source, the cost is deeply psychological. When you quit, you don't just stop learning new vocabulary. You actually stop believing in yourself a little bit. As the quote perfectly captures, you tell your heart, I can't do hard things. And that is a very, very dangerous message because English is far from the only hard thing in life. When you stay with English, even when it hurts, you are fundamentally teaching yourself patience, immense strength, and deep trust in your own abilities. And a huge part of building that trust is understanding how confidence actually works. So many people just wait around for confidence to magically arrive before they finally try to speak. But here's the reality. Confidence comes after action. You don't wait to feel ready, you become ready by trying. You speak first, even if your hands are literally shaking and your heart is beating out of your chest. And the confidence, it follows right behind you.
On those rough days when taking that action feels completely impossible, you need an anchor. You need to remember your core purpose, your personal why. Why did you open that notebook in the first place? Was it for career opportunities, to travel the world, to help provide for your family, or maybe just to connect with other people? The source reminds us that Emma's very first sentence was a tiny, simple, "Hello, my name is Emma." But you know what? It started the whole shebang. Your why will always, always matter more than your mistakes.
As we bring this explainer to a close, I want to leave you with this incredibly empathetic summary. Hard means growing, rest is okay, quitting is not. If the burden of learning English feels way too heavy today, that is perfectly fine. Put it down gently, let your brain rest, but make a firm promise to yourself that you will pick it right back up tomorrow. Which leaves us with one final, deeply personal question for you to reflect on as we finish up today. What is your why? Really think about it. Hold on to it tightly. Let it be the fuel that wakes up your sleeping English and pushes you forward right through that fog. Because your voice is a part of this world. It absolutely deserves to be heard, and you definitely have what it takes to get there. Keep going.